What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Ball Don't Lie podcast. I'm Jackson here with Jacob, and it's been a long time, probably 3 months.
Yeah, like 2 or 3. I think it's February.
February, I think 17th, somewhere around there. But we are glad to be making a return for the playoffs.
Oh yeah, playoff season.
Today we should be giving our playoff predictions, who we think will win it. Mainly focus on the first round. Today is the 23rd of May. Should be coming out. The video should be coming out soon, maybe 23rd, 24th. So we have seen the first day of playoff action. We're sorry we couldn't get to you before that, but it'll be all right. Shouldn't change our predictions that much. But I say we go ahead and get into it here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start. Starting the Western Conference. First one at the top, Utah versus Memphis, 1 versus 8 seed. This is kind of, I don't know. After I watched Memphis played San Antonio first game, right? Mm-hmm. And that was a decent game. Memphis had a big lead on them at first, and then San Antonio came back. And then obviously Lakers beat Warriors. Memphis handled the Warriors pretty decently, I thought. But I think Utah's a clear winner here. I think Memphis gets one game on them, so I think Utah will get it 4-1. Obviously they've got Donovan Mitchell coming back. I think he just had his first practice since April 15th, mm-hmm. around there sometime. He's been out with was it ankle?
I think
ankle
so.
sprain.
It doesn't matter.
And Gobert and all those guys. So
yeah. One thing I think a lot of people don't look at is the Jazz depth. I think they have one of the best, backup core. They have Joe Ingles. They have I'm drawing a blank here.
Bogdanovic.
Yeah, but he starts for him. I thought.
Yeah, but they got Royce O'Neal. I don't know if he starts or not.
They do have games.
They do have a lot of guys. I feel like they're 7, 8 deep probably. But
7 to 8 like starting caliber
players.
And
for sure. Ingles started a lot of games last year, mm-hmm. and then earlier on in the season, and now he's a 6th man. And
you're forgetting about Derek Favors. He's back playing for the Jazz.
Yeah.
That's a good pickup.
I feel like he fits very well there.
He's always fit. He's always fit well there. But I mean, back when he played for the Pelicans, I wasn't a big fan of him.
Yeah,
I never liked him. He always slowed us down and all that. But yeah, I think the Jazz have they're going to get out of this first round really easily.
I agree.
Superstar, Donovan Mitchell, defensive player of the year candidate, and Rudy Gobert.
Obviously, we hope Mitchell stays healthy, because he did have he turned it pretty good. He tweaked it. Yeah, it was tweaked pretty good. Yeah. But
I'm willing to bet that the Grizzlies do get a game off on him.
Oh yeah,
John Morant will come out, do his thing.
Well, Jaren Jackson, I'm a big fan of his, and he's back now after he had been out all year.
He's the X factor for this Grizzlies team, and if they're going to get a game off or even push it to a 6-7 game series. I doubt they can, but with him being back, him having such a good year last year and him starting to finally pick things up as the season continues and he gets more and more minutes and he gets that restriction off, I think he is the X factor. Depending on how he plays, the Grizzlies can really get far into the series.
The only thing I didn't like, I think it was the Golden State game. If I'm not mistaken, he only attempted 6 shots for that whole game.
And they were mainly threes.
Yeah, and he had scored. He had 10 points in like the first. It might have been the first quarter. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure at the end of the game he only had like 12, or he might have had 10. So I'm looking for him to step up, take more shots, bigger shots, and help out Jonas Valanciunas down low.
Yeah, and I think Jonas, that trio of Jonas, John Morant and JJJ, you all know him. Yeah. They can definitely get a game off. So I say that Utah gets out of there 4-1.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Mainly unscathed, and just really a chance for Donovan Mitchell to get back into playoff action and playing basketball. I think that's what the series is mainly about.
All right, with the next right below. Next series, we've got the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Dallas Mavericks, and the winner of those two series will be playing each other, obviously. I think, obviously, we've seen this last year in the first round, except I think the Clippers were 2. Again, yeah. Mavericks were 7 seed. But last year, Mavericks were without Chris Stapps. This year they have him, obviously. And I think that's going to be their biggest factor in this series because they've got an advantage there. Because when I look at the Clippers, I see Zubac, I see Serge, who just returned from his injury.
Serge is coming off the bench. That's a huge.
But he's going to have to get back in the rhythm because he hasn't played in like 2-3 months. And then obviously they've got Boogie, but he didn't get any minutes in the first game yesterday, so I don't know how that's going to alter or whatever they're going to do there. But personally for me, I know Dallas did get the first game, but I'm going to go with Clippers in 6. I think it's going to be just like last year. I think it's going to be a tough series. I think Luka's going to give you 25-30 every single game. I think Kristaps is going to be a big help. But I just look for Paul George, especially after his poor performance in the bubble. I look for him to step up, and then I look for Kawhi to do his thing as well.
We got to see something better out of Paul George. Obviously, in that first game, shot 2 for 8 from 3. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people are saying he had such a horrible game. He was so bad, this and that. I thought he was okay. His defense was pretty decent. But he does need to step it up. After such a good regular season, averaging, 24 points a game? You know, he was early on in the season in MVP discussion. And never really escalated to anything.
I think another guy, playoff Rondo. They've got Rondo.
You can't underestimate Rondo.
Oh, yeah.
He'll turn from a 25% three-point shooter into a 40%.
He shot 40% last year for the Lakers in the bubble, and then I think yesterday, start of the game, I think he started 3-3.
Yeah, he's totally turned his career around.
And free throw. They threw a stat out during the game. It was his first missed free throw from the game yesterday since he had joined the Clippers.
That's so crazy to me.
So
went from being one of the worst shooters in the league to being pretty decent.
Especially as a guard, too.
But me personally, I say the Clippers get out of here in 7 games. We saw them lose last night. What is it, by 13? Something like that, 10 or 13?
Yeah, it's 10.
It'll be a really good series, so make sure you watch that.
Oh, yeah.
But moving on here to Denver versus Portland. Now, we have mixed opinions on this one. We've talked it over, all of us, all our friends and everything.
Yeah.
This is going to be a really good series. No Jamal Murray, and Portland offense is on fire right now. They just got Yusuf Nurkic back, 10 games ago?
Yeah.
This will be a good series to watch. We watched game 1 last night. Portland got the win. Denver had the lead for a long time. They were up 69-60 around 4 minutes into the third quarter, and then Portland started taking off from there. Ended up winning the game by double digits.
14
points. Gosh. I have Denver winning. I still have them winning. I'm a big fan of their point guard Campazzo. Pretty sure Monte Morris is still out. No, he's back. He is back.
Mm-hmm. He's back.
I still like their lineup a lot. I think Campazzo is a great point guard. He's gonna give you 8 and 8 a night. You know, he's a decent shooter. And then they have the MVP, Nikola Jokic. Not technically the MVP yet, but he's gonna win it. And if you don't think so, you need to leave this podcast right now. Whether you think he's worthy of it or not, it doesn't matter. He will be the MVP.
Well, the factor that I look at with the Trailblazers is last night they had 7 guys in, if I'm correct, they had 7 guys in double figure scoring, and that's Robert Covington had 8 points, which would have been their 8th guy in double figure scoring. I'm a big Dame fan. I think if Dame would have been with the team the whole year, he was my MVP when McCollum was out, because when McCollum was out for them, he stepped up and brought them up to, I think, a 3 seed maybe at one point. If not, they were a 4 seed.
You got to remember, McCollum was balling out before his injury. He came back and, he started to pick things up very slowly. And now he's playing pretty decent basketball. Him and Lillard right now are completely balling out.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Covington's playing good. Melo had, I think it was like 20 points last game.
Yeah, he had 18.
18.
He's on fire.
Yeah, this is a totally big good series. Both teams match up pretty decently against each other. There's no one to guard Dame and McCollum, but there's also no one to guard
Inside
Aaron
presence.
Gordon and Nikola Jokic. So
for me, obviously, like you said, we've got different opinions on this. I've got Portland in 6. I'm a huge fan of Portland. I like Dame. I like his game. And I think it's Dame time in this series, for being honest.
I have the Nuggets in 7. Once again, another 7-game series, just like the Clippers, Mavericks. I think you have to tune into this series. Even though the games, if you're in Eastern time, are at 1 a.m. sometimes. Like last night, they finished at 12:54. Check my phone right then.
Goodness.
You got to watch these games. With summer break, you got to watch this series. But moving on, Phoenix Lakers. We got the game going on right now. It's currently halftime. Oh, man. It's been a good game so far.
Back and forth constantly.
We just saw Chris Paul get injured with that right shoulder contusion. He's back in the game, and he's playing good. The Suns are playing good. But the Lakers are also playing decent when LeBron is on the court. When he's off the court, it's pretty bad.
What I've noticed is, like he just said, LeBron, when he's on the floor, they're rolling, they're going. But when he comes off, as soon as he comes off that floor, they're looking for Anthony Davis to step up and play that leader role.
He's not.
And I've just not seen that yet. I've not seen it yet. I saw it in the bubble last year, and I saw it in last year's regular season, but I'm not seeing it this season, and I'm not seeing it in the first game of the playoffs so far.
Yeah, when he came back from the injury, there's no LeBron, and he put up, was it 47 or 43 against the Suns?
42. He had 42 and 12, I think, something like that.
A very good game from him back, was it 2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
And now we get to the playoffs, and I think it's becoming apparent Anthony Davis is not what he used to be. He used to be a guy who would go out there and give you 28, 10, or 28, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks a game playing for the Pelicans. But ever since he left the Pelicans, or demanded a trade from the Pelicans, he just hasn't been the same.
Well, I would give him his credit last year. He did ball out, and he played a big role in that team last year. But like I've said, I mean, I don't think he wants it. I think he got his championship, and when I watch him on defense, I don't see the same shot blocking Anthony Davis that I've seen in New Orleans or the first year in Los Angeles. But obviously, you've got the Lakers who just won the championship back in the bubble. You've got Phoenix who's been on a roll all year with their big three: Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Chris Paul. Obviously, if Chris Paul isn't shook by this injury, they're going to be perfectly fine. I think as long as the Lakers stay healthy, they're fine. I'm a huge LeBron fan. I think you guys know that from the first episode. But personally, for me, I've got Los Angeles in 7. I do like Phoenix, but I got to go with LeBron here. It's playoff Bron. This is the first round. He's 14-0 in the first round. Like I said, I understand it's Phoenix, but I got to go with my Lakers.
I'm going with the Phoenix Suns in this one. That's okay. We had one matchup that was the same, and that's the 1 versus 8 seed. Of course, everyone's gonna have that the same.
Yeah.
I'm really high.
No, we both had Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, we
Clippers.
both had the Clippers winning, but in different games.
Yeah, that's right.
I like Phoenix a lot. They've meshed really well. Chris Paul came in. He's turned them around completely. Last year we saw them in the bubble. They 8-0 in the bubble.
Yeah, 8-0.
Almost made the playoffs. Game. Amazing run by Devin Booker and his supporting cast of DeAndre Ayton. And I like this team a lot. The only problem is they're going up against LeBron James. He's top 2 of all time. Whether he's number 1 or number 2, that's up to you to decide.
You guys can debate that.
But I definitely think that that this will be a series you have to watch. I'm going Phoenix in 7, but you never know. It could go the other way.
Here's my only thing with that. When you look at Phoenix, besides Chris Paul, where's the playoff experience? They don't have it. And with Chris Paul, he's a leader, he's got the IQ, he's the point guard. But when you've looked at his playoff performances, they haven't been the best. Now, I will say, when they played the Warriors back in, 26? Was it the year LeBron came back from 3-1?
I think so.
Okay, when he got hurt. I do think they would have made the finals if he stayed healthy.
And that Rockets team was good.
Yeah.
Was it 65-17?
Yeah, something like that.
So that team was good.
They were good. But I look at Devin Booker and I look at DeAndre Ayton, and are they ready to step up for the big stage right here?
That's the biggest question.
Debatably the best player on the planet right now, if he's healthy. So
yeah. This is a must-watch series. Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul versus LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and whoever you think the third man is, whether that's Dennis Schroeder,
Drum, Kuzma.
It doesn't matter.
I would go as far as to say Caruso. I'm a big Caruso fan.
It's a must-watch series. But with that being said, we will move on to the Eastern Conference here. So we took a short little break there. So moving on to the first game in the East, or first series, sorry. Philadelphia versus Washington. We already saw game 1 of this. Mm-hmm. Very interesting series. Man, what was it? They lost by 5 or 7 points.
Yeah,
right?
it was close. It was closer.
Joel Embiid he just went off in the last couple minutes of that game.
They have nobody down low is their problem. What do you got? You got Alex Len, you got Daniel Gafford, right?
They're still really good centers. Yeah. Daniel Gafford is very good offensively. He's decent defensively, but he's not big enough to guard. But the bottom line,
what we've seen from Joel Embiid this year is he's almost unstoppable when he gets the ball down low in the block. Mm-hmm. Whether if it's his turnaround fade away, he posts you up and finishes and 1, or he just dunks on you. He's got so many weapons. Today, he dropped 30, right? He only had 6 rebounds, but then you look at Ben Simmons, right? He had 15 and 15 assists, 15 rebounds, 15 assists.
He only had 6 points, or did he score more?
Yeah, it was 6. It was 6 points.
That's such a weird player.
But then you had a big game from Tobias Harris also with 37.
37.
Yeah. Westbrook he had a double-double, and
He's
then Beal
doing
had
his own
33. This series, I love Washington. They're entertaining. I say that because they've got, obviously, in Bradley Beal, somebody who's been a top leading scorer in the past couple years.
And a past MVP in Westbrook, triple-double god, basically.
And, I mean, somebody who's one of the most entertaining players we've ever watched, because every night he gives 100%, and you're gonna get something from him, whether it's some big dunk, some crazy pass, or something. You're gonna always get something. But for this series, in all honesty, I think Washington will get one game on them, but I've got Philly in 5, 4-1, moving on to the conference semifinals. I think Washington is a great team, but where I see Philadelphia has them beat is just down low, really. Embiid, and if they do double him, you've got to worry about Seth Curry.
And
right?
not only that, they have depth.
Yeah.
They're just like the Jazz team. That's the reason that they're the 1 seed. In the regular season, having depth, I can't really say that word right now. It's the biggest thing, and that's why these two teams are the 1 seed. When it comes to playoff time, it's really about the stars, and that's why we see the Lakers. They're the favorites over Phoenix. That's why we see Brooklyn. They're the favorites overall.
I want to speak on Philadelphia. A big pickup they made, in my opinion, was Dwight Howard from
He's
the
been
Lakers.
good for him.
Somebody who's came in averaging like 8 and 8, I think, to give Embiid a break. And he's going to give you good quality minutes, and especially in the playoffs, because we know how big he came up last year in the Western Conference Finals against Nikola Jokic.
Yeah,
and you could go as far to say he just stopped him. He really did. He just changed the game in that series. You've got Thibault, who comes off the bench.
He's going to be on the all-defensive team coming off the bench. Not only that, they have Seth Curry. I think he's a starter for him, though.
Yeah,
then also on the bench, Tyrese Maxey.
George Hill.
And then Furkan Korkmaz, or however you say his name.
But you've got George Hill, who recently he's had experience in the finals with LeBron. Then he was on that Milwaukee team. I know they didn't go to the finals, but they did go decently far. He's been around great players, and he knows what to do when the playoffs come and how to help get the job done, especially. So
I agree with you. Washington gets defeated first round, 4-1. I say Washington picks up the first game in Washington. To make it 2-1 series, and right after that, Philly sweeps them. But moving on to the next game, the Knicks versus Atlanta. That game is actually going on right now.
I think it might be close to it. Maybe halftime. I'm not sure.
It's definitely halftime.
Yeah.
It's probably a little bit into the third quarter here. This is going to be a good
This is going to be a back and forth series, I think. I think this is going to go to 7 games. I think these teams are almost basically even when you look at it from a starting 5 perspective and coming off the bench.
Each of them have their star.
Yep. Trae Young, Julius Randle.
They have decent depth. Each of them have, their guy off the bench.
Yeah.
They got Lou Will and then Derrick Rose.
And really, if you look at it, these teams as a whole have no playoff experience, right? This is their if I'm correct, these are both of these teams' first year in the playoffs. And Atlanta, I think, made it in 2018. And then New York hasn't made it since, 2012,
2013, 14,
yeah,
somewhere around there.
So,
this Knicks team, they're interesting. And now that you bring it up, it's really shifted my opinion on the playoff experience. The Hawks have Lou Will. They have a few guys who've actually been in the playoffs before, but each of them still don't have very many.
And I want to say this real quick. You said they've got Lou Will. Lou Will's coming off the bench for him. I think that's big. And I know he's always came off the bench, but when you've got somebody like that to come off the bench he's going to give you that spark. Give you buckets, yes. Yeah. He's going to give you that spark.
So, overall, I do think that the Knicks are a better team. That's why they are the 4th seed, even though their records were really, really close.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with Atlanta in this series in 7 games. It'll be back and forth, back and forth. The only real player for the Knicks who has playoff experience is Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
And even for that, he's been injured for most of his.
And he's a completely different player than what he was when he was really in the playoffs, doing stuff. I think last time I recall him really doing something in the playoffs was...
It'd be 14-15.
That year he hit that shot over LeBron, Cleveland, the bank. Yeah, and then LeBron hit one the next game or something like that. I can't remember. But... that's been 6 years. So I agree with you. I've got Atlanta in 7. When I look at it, I'm a huge fan of John Collins. I love Clint Capella down low. I think they've got Gallinari was a great pickup. You've got
his new haircut.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mohawk.
Oh my goodness,
man, that's a crazy looking haircut.
Gortat,
He looks like I thought that was Marcin Gortat. I thought he came out of retirement to play for the Hawks. Oh man, so we got Atlanta moving on in 7. This series really can go either way. But looking at the next series, Milwaukee versus Miami, second round matchup last year. Was it 5 versus 1 seed or 4 versus 1 seed? I can't remember what Miami was last year.
5 versus, I think it's 5. 5 versus 1 seed.
This is going to be a great series. This whole playoffs is going to be amazing this year. Each team has a chance to win it all. Other than probably Memphis and Washington.
Yeah.
Obviously, looking at Boston here, probably not. You never know with them. But going back to Milwaukee versus Miami, we saw game 1.
The game was yesterday. Mm-hmm. We saw back and forth, went into overtime.
But Miami, they struggled offensively.
They did, and they still hung in there.
So did Giannis. I'm not sure if it's just Giannis shot bad from the field because he was missing, he was off his game, or if Miami's game plan was really getting to him. I did watch the fourth quarter of it. I wasn't able to watch the first 3 quarters, and it just looked like Giannis was just missing shot after shot, and it wasn't even their insane defense that was stopping him.
I want to point out a stat: 6 of 13 from free throw from Giannis.
Yeah, that was.
And then horrible. How many was it? I think he missed 3 there in the fourth quarter?
Mm-hmm. He really missed more than 3.
Yeah, I'm talking about there. He back to back. He got the 10 second, and then he got the back to back or whatever. That's the biggest flaw in his game, and I'll be honest. Somebody like Miami, when they're going to see this, right? If these close games right here, they're going to need him to knock down free throws because if you got a situation like yesterday, Milwaukee's lucky in my opinion because Miami played pitiful. Yeah, I think.
They're very lucky. Both teams played bad, but Chris Middleton really showed up. In previous years, he's been completely absent from the playoffs. I think it's finally time for him to, step it up. And then with the recent acquisition of Drew Holiday, this team is looking pretty scary. Obviously, they'd have a second-round matchup of Brooklyn or Boston if they do win against Miami. So it's not a cakewalk. It's not easy.
I think somebody from Milwaukee that stepped up big is Bobby Portis, averaging 11 and 7
he's
this
one of the
year.
best three-point shooters in the league now. It's crazy. His work ethic is crazy. He completely revamped his jumper. He's always in the gym.
We know what Miami's about. Obviously, we've seen the bubble, what they could do. Miami is capable of making it to the finals, in my opinion. If they can hit their threes, they're one of the most lethal, deadliest teams in the league. Mm-hmm. You've got Duncan Robinson. You've got Tyler Hero. You've got Goran Dragic, who gave us 25 yesterday. 5 of 10 from 3. Robinson hit 7. Obviously,
Duncan had like 24.
Yeah, Duncan had 24. They've got guys, Kendrick Nunn, who can knock down the 3. Obviously, they've got Reza picked him up. He can knock down the 3. And then you've got Jimmy, who's I think this year is shooting his worst 3-point percentage, and I don't know how long.
That's not the
the
biggest problem with him. Yeah, he's not a good 3-point shooter.
Yeah, that's not him.
He gets to the free throw line. I'm pretty sure I saw them mention that he's shooting 86% from the free throw line or something like that. And maybe thinking
he's shooting 24.5% from 3. But in my opinion, obviously that's not good. But I don't look at that as nothing bad for him because he's going to give you buckets, Jimmy buckets. Bam, he struggled yesterday.
He really applied pressure to Giannis though. I think that's the only reason that he's in the game all the time.
He was 4-15 yesterday, so he had a rough game too, just as Giannis had a bad shooting game. But this series is tough. What are you going with? Who you got?
I'm going with Milwaukee.
You're going with Milwaukee. How many games?
Milwaukee in 6.
Milwaukee in 6.
It could be a 7-game series though.
As much as I want Giannis to honestly win this, because what has it been? The past 3 years, the man's lost. Mm-hmm. In
the second round,
detrimental. Yeah, in the playoffs, I'm gonna go with Miami in 7. I think I've got faith in these guys and these shooters. Dragic coming off the bench. I've got faith in Jimmy Butler. I think he really wants to win again. Obviously, they proved a lot of people wrong, and I think they're going to do the same thing that they did to him last year. So I'm gonna go with Miami in 7.
You can't underestimate Jimmy Butler.
Oh no,
he'll come up clutch somehow. He'll get a clutch steal. We saw him hit the layup to send the game into overtime. The defense is there for both teams, and the offense there for Milwaukee.
Well, just think about in the bubble last year in game. I think it was game 5. Lakers were up 3-1, right? Mm-hmm. And Jimmy Butler came out and said,
he's not done.
I'm here. I'm not done." And he came out and he gave LeBron and AD. He gave them buckets. So I'm looking for him to step up big as well as Bam. And like I said, I'm gonna go with Miami at 7.
He's not gonna step down, but. in all, I still got Milwaukee going on to the next round. But who will they face is the next question. Yes. Brooklyn versus Boston. We got a Boston fan here.
Yep.
And Jacob. Oh, man, we saw game one. It was really good all 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, Brooklyn took off, and there was no looking back. Kevin Durant had over 30 points.
I think James Harden did his 12.
Yep. James Harden did his thing, getting assists, playing point guard. Kyrie did his thing, scoring, having electric plays. And then Joe Harris, he struggled from the 3-point line. The whole Brooklyn team struggled from the 3-point line.
Yeah,
but he still got to the basket.
23% from 3 last night.
Horrible. And then Boston in the first half was playing pretty decent basketball, Yep. They held Brooklyn to 16 points in the first quarter.
They came out with a lot of intensity, like, we're here. We want to win. We know you guys have all-stars, but we don't care. We're gonna come out here and play. But I think when you look at it, the bottom line is you've got Kevin Durant, you've got James Harden, and you've got Kyrie Irving. And over with Boston, you've got Jason Tatum. It's not enough. We don't have enough pieces. Kemba's been playing the best basketball in a long time recently to finish off the season.
And then he goes off and plays against Brooklyn and does absolutely nothing.
And I don't know if that's – my thing is when it's the big stage, the man doesn't step up. If he's known to be in the losing category. Obviously, he couldn't help it because he was in Charlotte, right? He didn't have a lot of help. Yeah. But he never succeeded there. He didn't. Marcus Smart,
He was doing his thing, and then battling. In the fourth quarter, things fell apart for him.
He gets greedy.
Mm-hmm. We saw Evan Fournier.
Yep.
He was good the whole game, but he was also kind of quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You never really saw him take off and start really taking over the game with his shooting. He was just kind of there.
Defensively, it was hurting them bad.
In the first half, it was amazing, and then all of a sudden, Brooklyn comes out, catches fire.
And I just think that's part of just who Kevin Durant is, and that's, in my opinion, why. In less than 2 months or whenever the finals is, we might be calling him the best player on the planet. So
you never know with him. But another player I like to spotlight here is Jabari Parker. He was so good in that first game, and I really hope he keeps playing too.
I do too. I think that was a great pickup for Boston. I really do, because they need the height down low. Obviously, he's not some massive guy, but he's 6'8", 6'9".
He's pretty sturdy.
He's gonna give you some battling inside, because obviously Robert Williams right now isn't full 100% with the turf toe.
Man, that Robert.
We traded Daniel Tice.
Time Lord, man.
We don't have a. That's another guy. Yeah, let's talk about Robert Williams. 9 blocks. Nine.
It was 9.
It went up to 9.
Good
the youngest, if I'm not mistaken, it was the most blocks
in Celtic playoff history.
Yes, from playoff Celtic history, but also the most blocks from a player to come off the bench in any playoff game ever. He finished with a stat line of 11, 9, and 9. And I think that was absolutely insane to me.
He could go the whole series without getting another block, assuming it goes to 4 or 5 games, and he'd average 2 blocks a game.
Oh, yeah. And
he's going to keep getting them. He's going to end up averaging.
I look for him to get at least 3 or 4 a game, for sure.
Gosh, he's good.
For sure.
But all in all, this Boston team just does not have enough firepower.
No.
They brought together a good squad, but without Jaylen Brown, who, in my opinion, honestly, isn't going to help them that much, because they play a whole different style of basketball. We never saw them come out and punch, they wouldn't be punching Brooklyn in the throat in the first half with Jaylen Brown. He doesn't.
I agree.
He plays hard, but
he's ball dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Something I talked about last night with somebody is when you see Jason Tatum, he can move without the ball and he can cut. You don't see that a lot from Jaylen Brown, I'll be honest. He stands out on the 3-point line. He waits for the ball to be caught. Yes, he's a great scorer, but he has to have the ball in his hands. And the bottom line is you're just not going to win a championship with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. In my opinion,
it's not going to work together.
Yeah, you're not, last year, obviously they did make the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but I don't think they could do that again. And I look for them to make some major changes in the offseason.
Yeah, like Dan Ainge said, it's time to make some changes.
Whether it's Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, whatever it is, signing a big man from free agency, trading, whatever it is. I don't think they get rid of Tatum, obviously, but I think we will see some changes. With all that being said, as much as I don't want to say it, I've got Brooklyn sweeping.
Brooklyn in 4.
I've got Brooklyn in 4. I think it's obvious. I just don't see the Celtics being able to keep up what they did in the first half last night and doing it for a whole nother half. They just don't.
It's not possible.
They don't have the bench. They are, if I'm not mistaken, in points, from bench points, they're ranked 28th out of the 30 teams in the league.
So they're about as bad as the Pelicans.
I don't know if I might be mistaken on that. You guys will have to check me on that. But if I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. And
well, it doesn't even matter what the stats are. You can tell.
Yeah.
You just watching the game. Their bench doesn't score that much.
Yeah, they don't have it.
Yeah. So Brooklyn in 4. I don't think there's anyone who's going to argue that. It's just not going to happen. But let's skip everything and look towards the finals here as we come to a close in this video. Who do you have coming out of the West?
Out of the West, I'm going to skim. What I want to do is I'm going to skim through. I'm not going to talk over go into depth about the conference semifinals and the conference finals. But obviously, with me in the conference semifinals up top for the West, we have Utah and the Clippers. I think the Clippers come out of that. I'm not going to go into explanation why. We're going to do that later on in another episode. So I've got the Clippers in the Western Finals. And then over here, down below, you've got the Lakers and Portland, in my opinion, coming out. I think LeBron, he's going to keep it rolling, keep it going. I think we're going to finally get to see what we've wanted for the past, ever since Kawhi came to LA, ever since Anthony Davis came to LA, we're going to see an LA versus LA in the conference finals. Over in the East, you've got Philly and Atlanta up top. I'm going to go with Philly. I think, Joel Embiid, I just don't see anybody stopping him, especially not on Atlanta. Down below, I've got Miami and Brooklyn coming out. I think it's going to be a heck of a series if it does happen.
Oh, that'd be such a good series.
I think Miami is very, very... They have the chance to beat Brooklyn, but I just don't think it'll happen. And I think we're going to see Brooklyn and Philly in the conference finals. Out of that, I've got Brooklyn beating Philly, and then I've got the Lakers beating the Clippers. I've got Brooklyn and the Lakers in the finals. You can go ahead and say what you got.
You got Brooklyn Nets winning it all, don't you?
Well, I don't know. We'll talk about that. You go ahead.
So I got the Jazz winning first round, going up against the LA Clippers. And then we also have Denver and Phoenix. I have all of the higher seeds winning, but here's where things start to shake it up. I got the Clippers beating Jazz in probably 6 games. I'm really high on the Clippers. Once again, last year, Clippers, flippers, whatever you want to, things just did not go well.
They got a leader now. I want to make that clear. They've got a leader. They've got, in my opinion, if the Lakers didn't have Rondo last year, they don't go to the finals, in my opinion.
And Kawhi's playing good all of a sudden, comes out off of being injured for a while, and he's playing really good basketball. So we have Denver versus Phoenix. I got Phoenix going on probably in 5 or 6 games. And then we have a Clippers-Phoenix conference final, sorry. Yeah. And this is where I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to have to go Clippers. I do this every year. I did it last year. I want the Clippers to win. I want to see them do good.
Figured you to learn from last year.
It ain't happening. I'm sticking with the Clippers. So over in the East, we got Philadelphia versus Washington. Philly's going to win that, like we said before. And then they're going to be playing Atlanta second round. I got Milwaukee moving on past Miami and Brooklyn moving on past Boston. But one game I want to spotlight is Milwaukee versus Brooklyn, sorry. You said Miami could give them a run for their money. Yeah. I'm saying Brooklyn can. Because if you look at it, the defense is there. Dante DiVincenzo, he's not going to be able to clamp up anyone, but he's going to put the stops. He's going to try hard.
Joe Harris.
No, he's guarding Kyrie. We're putting him on Kyrie. But we're going to put Drew Holiday on. We're putting Drew Holiday on James Harden. And then we put Giannis on Kevin Durant. Yeah. They match up pretty decently.
Brook Lopez down low.
Mm-hmm. Okay. They match up really decently. If anyone wants to give Brooklyn a run for their money, it will be Milwaukee. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to put Brooklyn moving on to the conference finals in 6 games probably. Yeah. And then we're going to have Philadelphia versus Atlanta. I'm taking Philly in 5 or 4. I don't think there's really competition over there. Brooklyn versus Philadelphia. Give me Brooklyn Nets in 5. I like Philadelphia. Well, I also really like Brooklyn.
I know I picked Brooklyn as well, but I think Joel Embiid. There's a very good chance he could average 35. I mean, it's very possible.
Oh well, that sets up a Clippers Brooklyn finals, which would be very entertaining in my opinion.
Talk about 2 teams that don't have a big man.
All right, Ibaka is pretty decent.
DeAndre Jordan. Gosh.
Oh man, they got some problems over there with their.
So you've got Brooklyn, I've got Brooklyn, and then you've got one LA team, and I've got the other. I think that's pretty good predictions. Should we give our finals predictions? What we've got?
We'll save that for another.
We might have to save that for another time.
You all will have to stay tuned for that
one.
Go into
depth that.
we'll give a full NBA Finals preview or overview whenever that comes around.
Yeah.
So you all might not ever hear what we think about the Clippers versus Nets or Lakers versus Nets if it never happens. But we will see you all for the playoff predictions again once it gets to the conference semifinals.
And then we'll go over the conference finals once that comes. And then, like you said, the NBA Finals as well.
Well, I think that about wraps it up. I should have the pictures up on how we think the playoffs will turn out, except the championship, who is the overall champion. But I guess you all can make that up for yourself. So I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all on the next Ball Don't Lie podcast.